Relationships. Truly a beautiful thing. A thing that honestly is something that I have never experienced myself because I am a lonely ass bitch. But when it comes down to things, relationships in fiction is sometimes a very, very challenging thing to kind of write out. Much less sometimes it can be a very tiring thing. And when it comes down to things, sometimes it's more about the chase, about getting a girl. Sometimes it's about the aftermath of what happens. Sometimes it's about the in between of all of it. And no matter where you pick when it comes to it, it's a lot to kind of consider and to kind of focus on because it's two characters and not just one that you kind of have to focus on regarding what is going on, how should they feel in certain things, right? And as I write my series with Kokatsu, it's something that I have to kind of always consider because there is just sometimes where I'm like, damn, I want to focus on story, and sometimes half the time I kind of forget, damn, I need to add like a lewd moment into this, and then just throw that down with it as well because it kind of fits within the narrative of the story, or just throw down with like a character that Jay probably hasn't talked to in a while and things like that, right? And besides, with different characters from different worlds already existing in that one, I have to kind of talk to each character in a different sort of way and treat them different in a sort of, way that fits the story as well as not completely break that character unless I deem otherwise that, yeah, we'll just go ahead and do that, right? So there's a lot to kind of consider regarding relationships, right? But I would honestly say that the hardest part of it would be the aftermath of everything, not necessarily the chase, because so many animes focus on the chase, like Rent a Girlfriend and that one other show with the dumb, angry chick with the short black hair and red eyes with the other blonde guy that they want to like each other but they can't be like admitting it for some damn reason. Even though they clap cheeks, they still can't necessarily admit it for some damn reason, and the chase still continues. And it's just like at that point, once you clap, it's either like, come on, say the truth, or just abandon everything. Like at this point, it's really getting annoying, especially in some of the cases where the chase continues, and it just doesn't make any type of sense. Honestly, that's why people hate Rent a Girlfriend at times. That's why you have to pace out everything. Basically, trying to see how can you go about this subject and make it work in any sort of way where it's possible, and see what you can potentially do, right? So when it comes down to things, I kind of want to talk about my show when it comes to the relationships of these characters and essentially what they are kind of doing or what they mean potentially, and see how far we can go with this topic, honestly. So let's just kind of think about it like that. So when it comes down to things, one of the bigger relationships that's in the show would be Koneko and Jay, obviously. And it's some of my favorite times to write those characters because it's just like, well, it's one-on-one time. They get to spin like they actually are, a real deal item as they are. And it's just fun to kind of write down whatever the hell I can because there's a lot of shit I could just include in there, honestly. I feel like I'm well versed to kind of write Koneko's character a little bit more if she was a bit more expressive, honestly, and not completely kudere. But still, nonetheless, I think I kind of got a grasp of how my writing style is regarding how she would act in certain ways and different stuff like that. Like, I would like to believe that she wouldn't act out in a wild and ass way, and hopefully I captured about that when it comes to her character, right? So there's like a lot of things to kind of consider, but still, nonetheless, again, I'm not perfect. I'm not the necessary person that wrote DxD, so I can't necessarily tell you if I'm writing Koneko correctly or not, or at least accurate enough to what her character would be like. But still, nonetheless, I just hope for the best and kind of shoot for the stars. But when it comes down to their relationship, I didn't want to keep the chase going on for too damn long. I basically wanted to make their chase feel important, but at the same time, I wanted it to also lead into marriage because that was the ultimate goal of what the hell is going to happen. I can't necessarily be Koneko's hubby if I never married a damn girl, so that kind of had to happen, right? And there are challenges in their relationships too, like the time when, Jay was basically dealing with the despair for the first time, and she was worried about something going wrong, and obviously had Jay had to kind of comfort her in that sort of regard. Then the High School DxD arc kind of happened where Koneko got kidnapped by Issei, and lost her memories, and Jay had to kind of break her free of that. And that was like a very long but intriguing chapter of the story because, yeah, it kind of needed to happen so we can give a really solid reason of why they should be together, honestly. It basically ended with Jay banging Koneko in front of a dying Issei, which was a very amazing thing, honestly. Still one of the best written parts of the story. A little bit out of character for Jay, a little bit, but if you know my hatred for Issei, F that guy, no treats for you. And when it comes down to things, their relationship been kind of on the up and up. Yeah, they had one more struggle with, Jay basically holding the secret about trying to master the spare, but it didn't really work, and Koneko was upset that she was not told about this, which understandable, but at the same time after that there hasn't really been any other craziness that kind of happened also outside of Tatsumaki trying to kill her and Jay unlocking purification for the first time. And there's just, outside of that, I'll say it now, outside of that there hasn't really been a super major focus on their relationship until what I'm about to do in the story right now. But still, nonetheless, they've been through a lot of shit, so it's kind of like at this point, yeah, I kind of trust them both to be a item in this damn relationship, and they're very valuable to each other. So I can definitely buy and see that there's been some time put in this relationship idea, and that they do mean a lot to each other, and their marriage should hold, honestly. So really, as long as you keep introducing problems that's not boring, and try to keep introducing things that's not necessarily like overwhelming to these two, you'll be kind of fine, right? So that's not the only relationship that exists within that story, right? What about the original characters and then the other anime characters that exist in that world too? I would say the other anime characters have a smaller scale outside of a few, but still nonetheless, I would say the bigger noticeable ones would be the ones where it has to do with the Dream Girls, obviously, like Blue and Shoko and them. Because, they have their own valid reasons for liking them too. And that was a big thing I wanted to tackle as well. Because I didn't want them to just like Jay just because they like Jay, right? I gave a gimme on one of them, which was Aoki. But outside of that, I didn't want to do that for every single other female character within the show. I wanted them to have a solid ass reason for liking them, even if it's not necessarily the reason that you were expecting. Again, not every single person is just liking the man just because they want to like the man. So there is a valid reason as to why these characters have these feelings the way they do. But, it's not because it's just not, again, not necessarily like, oh, well, we just gotta make him like her because this is the big main protagonist. He gotta get all the hoes. Yes, the main protagonist of a harem story can get all the hoes. I have no problem with that. But it better be a valid ass reason as to why. Because half the time when it comes down to these shows, they just kind of get all the hoes just because they kind of get all the hoes. And then break the male main character lead themselves just by acting like, oh, I'm cool. I've always been this cool. No, you have not. We've seen you act like a bitch before. Where did all this come from? And this is kind of where I have my problem with DxD a little bit, especially with how Issei just gets shit, because one, he gets power-ups like it ain't nothing, so he doesn't even earn the shit that he gets. But also, when it comes to the girls, I can understand Rias, I can understand Azia, I can maybe sort of understand Akano a little bit, even though she's kind of more of a hoe on her part though. But Koneko, I don't get that one, mainly because he hasn't really done anything to kind of, really earn that type of, trust and likability and all that sort of stuff, honestly. What, just because, oh, he stood up with her because of Kuroka and whatever? That's not enough for me, I'm gonna be very honest with you. Same thing with Zenobia, right? Zenobia got her ass handed to her a couple of times, and then basically was just like, alright, because I can't necessarily be the type of person I need to be anymore. Alright, so just give me that dick with that damn dragon baby already. I'm gonna need that shit right now. That's essentially the only reason. Then all of a sudden, oh, hi Issei, how you been? No, that's not how that shit works, bro. That's not how that works. I can understand Irina because they were childhood friends. I can get that maybe. But at the same time, like, what the hell is that, honestly? Ross Visa? Why Ross Visa gotta like this man out of nowhere? That doesn't make any type of sense, right? You're supposed to be a damn Valkyrie. Where the hell did this come from? So there's a few instances where I'm just like, yeah, no, I don't necessarily buy half of this shit, honestly. But still, nonetheless, it's not my story to tell or write, so it is what it is on that front. But still, nonetheless, that doesn't change the fact I don't necessarily like it. So of course I'm gonna make my own damn series. Of course I'm gonna add Konako to it and potentially other damn people to have their way with that male main character. Because when it comes down to things, I would like to believe that I could probably provide something a little bit better of a main character than what Issei bitch ass could ever be. So that's kind of how I feel, honestly. Not any hate on the creator, obviously, just I despise the character himself. Not the voice actor, not the not like the character designer, not any of that. Just his character himself in the show is what I hate. Which, if you, again, you've seen me for a long time, you would know. But essentially, relationships has to be taken care of in a very meticulous sort of way, right? If you don't necessarily chuck it in the right sort of way, people are going to lose interest, and they possibly could not care less about what these characters do or what they are about. So you gotta make sure you know how to write these things down, because if you don't, you lose everything, essentially. And there will be practically no point in time where people need to care about these characters. Hell, there's been a lot of times when it comes to certain characters and relationships and stuff that people just skip over that content. And that's something I kind of hope that people don't necessarily do, right? Granted, you're watching a harem anime. The hell you thought this was. But still, nonetheless, you know, that's where you would say that relationships need to be the strongest, especially in harem shows. So that is essentially all I really have for you for this one. Basically, just want to go over the thoughts about relationships in anime and things like that. I find it funny also how I've never been in a relationship either, but I kind of somewhat know how to write one down. Like, that feels a bit strange, but funny, also kind of lonely as shit to me, but still, nonetheless, it is what it is. But hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow me on the socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Patreon is available as well. And until then, it's Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.